Welcome to another video. This is on a Japanese maple. It's getting towards the end of the growing season here in England. It's a bright sunny autumn day. It's the middle of October. This tree just needs a little bit of a clean up before the end of the year. It's got lots of extended growth on it. I've let this one grow this year because it got slightly weakened last year. It lost a few branches, so I've just let it put on whatever growth it wants to this year, and now it's time to just cut it back. And as you can see on some of the branches, they've grown out and then they've gone up towards the sun, so the angles of some of the branches aren't really in keeping with the tree. So it's just a question of going through and taking off all of the long pieces and anything that doesn't look right with the tree. So shouldn't take too long. So we can start with this massive long one here. We can just take it off to those last two leaves. Same with this one here. This one here, if you can see, it's coming out from that lovely little branch there, and then it's come down and up to hit the light. So we don't need this bend here. So we've got two nodes there. I'll cut it about half an inch away, so that if there's any dieback in the winter, this can die back and these two buds will still stay alive for next year. There's a small couple of buds inside there, so depending on what I think next year, I can either keep this long piece here or cut it back to these two small ones and start again. Just notice there's a bit of a dead branch here, so that can come off. Right, so over here we've got one branch coming off to the left of this stub, which is going completely underneath this one here. So an option would be to bring this one round, or to try and bring that one round. So because that's only this year's growth, that would be quite easy to bring round into that position. That's a little bit stiff for bringing round. I could try. We'll leave that for now. We'll just give it the tidy up first, then we'll come back and we'll look into that in a later part of the video. So again, under here you've got a dead branch, so this one can come right back off. Again, I'll leave a little bit of a stub and clean that up in the spring, just give it a bit of protection from the winter. So you've got a dead stub on the end of that one. This one was a major branch that got lost, so we can take that off. Just do that in a couple of little sections. That's it. I'll leave a bit of a stub. Just tidy that up a bit, and I'll take that off in the new year once I know the tree's growing well. So just have a quick spin round, see what we can see on there. So this branch is growing back underneath this one, so because we've got two leaders on that, we take that one off. This one can come forward and give us the new extension on that branch for next year. So we'll take off these large leaves there. Right, so I think I'll leave those ones as they are. This big branch here. So this tree really needs a complete restyle. It's had a bit of a rough life, this tree. All this scarring was on it before I bought the tree. All of this. So it looks like it's had a bit of a rough life, this tree. It's very overgrown at the moment, so it needs bringing back into some sort of line with what I'm looking to do with the tree in the future. So just a case of taking off all of the long extensions, cutting back to small internodes to keep the spacing between the branches nice and neat. Anything that's got too long and straggly, they come off, and you leave all the small nodes in place. So this branch here is a bit of a problem. It's got some nice small new growth coming out, so I could take off the whole of that, but what I will do for the moment, because it's near the end of the year and there's not going to be very many sunny days left, I'm going to leave these leaves on at the moment, let it generate as much energy back into the tree so it can sustain itself over winter, and then once it's in its dormant stage I can have a look at it once all the leaves have fallen off around about January or February, have a look, see what I think, and I might then cut it back to where that V is. All depends what type of winter we have. If we have a very hard winter, I'll leave it until the spring. If it's a mild winter and I don't think we're going to get many frosts, I might cut it off, and then I can always put it in the greenhouse or the shed to give it some protection. But I'm just going to give it a quick light prune really. That one's far too big, that comes off. And then next year we do a more detailed styling of this tree. I can take those dead stubs off. I don't like dead stubs showing really. I prefer a cleaner look to the branches. It can add character to a tree, can show its age, but I tend to go for a cleaner look on my trees. Some people like that, but some people don't. It's all your individual preference. It's your hobby, it's your tree. You can prune it and train it exactly how you like. After all, this hobby is meant to be enjoyable, and so if you just strictly follow the books and you do it the way the books tell you, or you do it the way a bonsai master tells you, you can end up doing trees their way and not your way. Always use their advice as a guidance, because obviously they're bonsai professionals for a reason. They've been trained properly, they've got years of experience, they work on many trees where some bonsai practitioners only work on 2 or 3 species, depending on the climate of where they live. Certain trees won't survive in certain climates. So it's just a case of whatever your local conditions are and how big a bonsai collection you want. I've probably got about 20 different varieties of tree, which is plenty as far as I'm concerned. There are a few trees on my wish list that I haven't got yet. If I see a nice tree and it's on my wish list, I may decide to buy one, but I think for now I've probably got enough trees in my collection to keep me going. I still propagate trees from cuttings and things. The tree that I'm going to show you in the next video is propagated from an air layering. It's going to be another maple, but that came from a parent tree. So something similar to this, I just did an air layering and took one of the main branches off and turned it into a twin trunk tree. So I'll be showing that in the next video, which I'll be doing straight after this one. So this just needs a little bit of a clean up, and then next year I'll give it the major restyle that it needs to bring it into some kind of shape. So I left it this year so it could get a bit more vigour. I didn't want to do too much, stressing it too much because of the branches that it lost last year. This is still, let's take that out of there. There's a bit nice dead stub there. In the middle, that's it. So I'm just thinking about whether I reduce that branch now and leave it till the spring. Can't see any buds forming on there. Might just take the end off. I'll leave that. I think I'm going to leave that one till the spring to see if anything buds back here. If it does, if it buds back nearer to this junction, then I can get rid of this It's gone a bit long and straight. I don't really want to wire it too much. So we'll leave that for next year. And that one in there is going completely in the wrong direction. That can come out. That one's in a good place for next year. So this is I don't know if you can see in there, but there's a couple of buds coming right back at the junction on this branch. We've got some buds right in here, so that's what I'm hoping for this long branch here, that we might get some back budding on there, and then I can bring the canopy back in towards the tree. At the moment it's a bit wide for the style of the tree. I want to try and just condense the canopy back in, and then obviously work on keeping the leaves this small rather than this large. So the reason I've gone that large is because obviously I've let it grow and I haven't cut it back. But next year, if I keep on top of the pruning, I can let the first flush of spring come out and then cut it back. This one is completely over the top of this other branch here. I've got a nice cluster inside. So again, I've got an option. I can leave this on for winter protection and hope to protect those buds in it, or I can take it off now. As long as I put this in a nice frost-free environment, it's going to be okay to take the branch off now. It's only going to get longer and interfere with this branch, and because I want to reduce it back in towards the crown, I'm going to leave a nice inch and a bit for dieback. And so next year we'll use these leaves here to extend that branch to where I want it, and then in the spring, after we've had the winter, we'll get rid of this branch here because we don't need it anymore. That served its purpose. Right, let's carry on. And again, this one here, I could do the same. I could take it off to there, but because I want to try and keep as much leaf on at the moment as I can, I'm only going to take off the essential pieces today and leave the rest for another day. With bonsai, you don't have to do everything straight away. You see it one day, you don't have to take it off. I find it to be a lot easier to do what's needed now, and any decisions that you can leave for another day. Then it gives you that second option when you come back and look at it at another time. You might have had another idea, it might have sprouted in a different position, which gives you another option. Whereas if you cut the branch straight away, you've lost any options that branch is likely to give you in the future. So unless you know exactly the style you're looking for and how you want to grow that tree, you don't need to take everything off in one go. When you see people demonstrating turning a Yamadori tree, for instance, into what they call a finished bonsai, they will do everything all in one go just to show you what to do. But a lot of those trees, unfortunately, they've been pruned at the wrong time of year, just been done purely for the demonstration. And I've seen many a tree that's been demonstrated on left at the back of a nursery just to fend for itself. The bonsai professional's been paid his money to do the demonstration, and to be honest, that was all he was interested in at the time. But because I'm talking to the person that's doing it in their own back garden, basically, your tree, take your time, make the correct decision for you and the tree, and you shouldn't go too far wrong. There's nothing wrong with leaving a branch on a tree for another 3 months or another 6 months just to see what happens to it. You never know, you might have a disaster with one of the other branches in that same area of the tree, and the branch you didn't cut off can then replace that branch. So there's many options to bonsai. It's not an instant gratification hobby. You have to take your time, you have to be patient. So I think that's okay for this tree. Oh, I suppose I could take that one off. That's far too close to the trunk of the tree. It's not going to produce anything really in respect to the tree. So I think I'm happy with that at the moment. The leader at the top has got a 2 inch space there with no buds on it. I was thinking of cutting it off now, but again, I just want to get a little bit more energy into the tree. I've got a lovely sprout there that's going to come out, so that's very close to the main trunk, so that's going to give me a new leader for next year. And then I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 branches there, all very close to each other. I'll probably take off either this one or this one next year, just to make sure I don't get any inverse taper in that area. There's a little bit of swelling because I've got this extra one coming out this side. I might leave that one as well because it's a nice young branch, and that also gives me an option of taking off the complete top of this tree, take off all of that cluster of branches there, and I can use this as a new leader. So that's going to be a decision for next year. So I think for now that's going to be it for this tree. I'll just move this one out of the way and we get the other one in and we can have a look at that. I'll be back in a minute.